It's Tuesday, November 18th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Could Halifax homeowners be facing a double-digit municipal tax hike? More direct transatlantic flights are coming to the Maritimes.
Colder nights and mornings through midweek, but at least we'll have sunnier conditions in the afternoon.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We begin with sticker shock tonight in Halifax. A hefty property tax is on the table. 10.5% is City Council's starting point. And while many agree people can't afford that, the question then becomes what to cut from an already bare-bones budget. CTV's Callum Smith reports.
The budget direction document from city staff says a 10.5% increase to property tax bills is necessary to support an $88.9 million increase to the city's budget. Inflation and contractual obligations are some reasons, but there's also capital projects on the horizon.
For example, we have the Windsor Street Exchange. We have a big decision to make on the Halifax Forum. And there's many, many different capital projects that are coming forward.
Newly sworn-in Deputy Mayor Patty Cuddle says council should stay the course on planning and infrastructure.
And if we're not strategic about that, I feel there's going to be pain for taxpayers further down the road. So for me, a big priority is around planning and development, getting our suburban plan off the ground.
She also says transit investments are necessary to address congestion.
We're seeing rate proposal increases from Halifax Water. We're seeing a rate proposal increase from Nova Scotia Power. Our first moment out of the gate is 10.5 increase on the tax bill. People just can't afford this.
Perhaps hope for a flat rate is not lost just yet.
Last year, I think we started at an 8.4% increase and whittled it down to 4-something, which was a flat tax rate. So that may be possible again this year. However, this year we have new challenges.
I was expecting for the budget to come back a little bit higher than last year. I was not expecting this massive increase. So I will be very actively trying to push that number down.
The tune is similar to last year, trying to save in difficult financial times.
This one's a little bit more bare bones. It's at a point where we know some programs are going to have to be cut. Some services may be delayed. Some projects may be delayed.
For Councillor John Young, everything is on the table. Asked how budget discussions will go, with some councillors having a no-touch list, he says
It's probably going to be a little spicy in there.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Nova Scotia's Gaming Authority is alleging the vice president of a Halifax Legion broke the law when he claimed more than $24,000 of winnings in a lottery he helped organize. The provincial body says David Long was not permitted to claim the cash prize for the Chase the Ace lottery because he was the licensee for the event 2 years ago. Long deposited the winnings in his personal bank account, then bought a car and paid expenses with the rest of the money. Well, this next story illustrates how frustrating the wait for a nursing home bed can be and how easily someone can fall through the cracks of a system buried in bureaucracy. Here's CTV's Laura Brown.
It was a sunny July day when Malcolm Jones left the St. John Regional Hospital for the first time in a year.
When I went there to take over his care, I'm not exaggerating. He had a pair of hospital socks, one pair of sweatpants, a t-shirt, and a hoodie. That's what he had. And at that point, he had already been in the hospital for a year.
He didn't even have a wallet, no ID, no bank account. The 68-year-old was diagnosed with schizophrenia as a child. Today, he lives with Parkinson's as well as his mental illness. He landed in the hospital in the summer of 2024, where he remains today.
Mostly he just laid in bed every day, all day. I got him a tablet, showed him how to watch his movies on YouTube. Just recently, last couple weeks, I got him a pair of noise-canceling headphones because there's a lot of chaos there.
Karen Wilson says when she found out her cousin was in the hospital, he had already been there for months. She took over as his power of attorney and got his documentation in order so that he could get on the nursing home wait list.
And she said, well, right now, the good news is there's a priority list for patients in hospital waiting for placement. So he will go to the top of the list. That expires November 17th. So I thought, great, we're on the list.
But his signature was missing. Malcolm missed that prioritization. After 15 months, his wait continues.
And now we're looking at 6 to 8 months. And I said to the chargers today, how am I supposed to tell him that? He asks me every day if they've called yet for a place.
Horizon Health referred CTV News to the Department of Social Development. That department didn't respond by our deadline. To improve his quality of life, Wilson says she's asked the hospital for counseling, physio, and dental services, but has been told no. She says what worries her the most is the impact this wait is having on his mental health.
Because if you keep reaching for something and you know eventually you're never going to get it, you're going to stop reaching.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
New Brunswick's health minister says he followed through on a promise to spend 24 hours in a hospital emergency room. CTV's Nick Moore now on what he experienced.
I had more empathy for people that were ill and had to wait extended periods. We need to do better.
Dr. John Dornan says he has spent plenty of time in the ER working, but not as much time as a patient in the ER waiting. As health minister, Dr. Dornan says he has followed through on an invitation to spend 24 hours in the Moncton Hospital's ER waiting room.
So I did this last Friday from 10 a.m. to Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And it was a difficult experience. You know, it gave me insight, not complete, but insight in what people go through. People that are waiting for an extended period in the emergency department are often ill. And I did not have that. I was not ill at the time. I had some level of preparation.
Dornan says he spoke to people in the ER who were ill along with their family members, all of whom were waiting and waiting.
I did not tell people who I was. I had a mask on, so it was easy to be there incognito. And people didn't push me, just like I would not push other people. But they did volunteer their experiences. For many, it wasn't the first time they'd spent exceptional periods of time in the ER, and that's sad.
Dornan says he does not feel the need to spend another 24 hours in a hospital ER waiting room, saying the experience has taught him what he needs to know in his role as health minister. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
The RCP in Halifax played show and tell today, rolling out millions of dollars in cocaine and pills seized in a local drug bust. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis reports.
With cocaine and pills as the backdrop, Nova Scotia RCMP Superintendent Don Mosier calls the seizure significant.
These drugs were believed to be destined for the Halifax Regional Municipality, and the cocaine alone carries an estimated street value of $4 million.
The drug bust is a result of an investigation and eventual traffic stop near the Cobequid Pass on September 29th. They were found in a secret compartment in the trunk of a Nissan Quest driven by 38-year-old Exile Sandulu of Dartmouth.
We won't speak to the details of how we became aware, other than we have, I would say, a plethora of tools and techniques on how we receive or develop information and follow that up. And we have many avenues, investigative avenues, at our disposal.
The bricks of cocaine weigh a total of 40 kilograms. The 10,000 oxycodone pills, while counterfeit, still pose a danger on the streets.
We believe, however, that those pills were manufactured for the illicit market, and we believe they may contain fentanyl, and we're working to confirm that through the Health Canada labs that way. And we do know, we're very confident that they're not legitimate prescription pills.
Superintendent Mosier says fake drugs are a growing problem in the province.
Although counterfeit drugs are not necessarily common in the HRM and Nova Scotia area, they do happen, and we're seeing an increase of those counterfeit pills in Nova Scotia.
While police say they're not aware of any previous convictions related to drug trafficking against Exile Sandulu, there could be more charges resulting from this seizure. Exile Sandulu has been charged with 2 counts of drug trafficking, and he has been released. Sandulu is scheduled to return to Dartmouth Court December 12th. Jonathan McGinnis, CTV News, Dartmouth.
It's a chilly evening in downtown Fredericton. 1 little degree as we bring in Kaylin Mitchell to get our first look at the forecast, and that's pretty much the story everywhere. Hey?
Yeah, and quite a few low temperatures tonight are going to be headed down towards the freezing mark, or in some cases a few degrees below. And one of the reasons for that is we're going to be seeing a little bit of clearing tonight. In fact, as we take a look at the radar and satellite imagery in behind me, you can see that some of the cloud cover, which is indicated through this lighter shade of gray, is already beginning to break up around western areas of New Brunswick and south southwestern areas of Nova Scotia. That is the start of that clearing trend that is expected to continue for the Maritimes as an area of low pressure centered over Labrador moves a little bit further towards the north, and a little trough hanging down from that low pressure system passes to the east of the region. Speaking of the center of that low, though, it is bringing some snow for parts of Labrador as well as northern areas of Quebec, though mostly more mountainous terrain, including parts of the Canadian Shield up in Quebec, as well as some of the Torngat Mountains. Mount Kobvik expected to pick up around 10 to 20 centimeters of snow basically over the next 24 hours. Pretty little in the way of snowfall amounts expected around Labrador City and Happy Valley Goose Bay. Back to the Maritimes and that clearing trend, though, as we make our way a little bit later into this evening, we should be getting into fairly clear conditions across much of New Brunswick and much of mainland Nova Scotia. Partly cloudy conditions still lingering around the northeast of New Brunswick, though, Prince Edward Island and northern and eastern areas of Nova Scotia, parts of the North Shore, and certainly in Cape Breton. Still, the next couple of nights look pretty good for some night sky viewing. There's a couple of things you can see in the night sky tonight. Well, you won't see the moon. It's a waning crescent moon, 2% illuminated, and it's below the horizon throughout the night. At 11 p.m., though, if you take a look towards the eastern horizon, you can spot Jupiter and the bright star Pollux, which is part of the constellation Gemini. It should be just above the eastern horizon. The aurora is unlikely to be observed tonight. There is a pass from the International Space Station this evening, 6:39 p.m., 3 minutes from the west to the northwest, but it's a brief pass and pretty low in the sky, so not one of the greatest ones to spot out there, Todd.
And I know you've got a great shot at the end of the show that ties
yes.
into all this. Okay, we'll see you a little later for the full forecast. And maybe it's time to plan a trip, right, with these low temperatures. Well, more direct flights to Europe are being added to the already extensive list of destinations from Halifax. WestJet announced a new slate set to launch in the spring. CTV's Vanessa Wright has the names.
Starting today, people with plans to travel to Europe next summer can book flights there from Halifax nonstop.
We continue to grow our presence in this dynamic city because it truly is our gateway in Atlantic Canada to Europe and beyond.
WestJet's new additions, coming May 2026, will include 4 flights per week from Halifax to Lisbon, Portugal, Madrid, Spain, Copenhagen, Denmark, as well as 1 U.S. flight to Detroit.
Certainly, we heard lots of local demand around Lisbon and Portugal, and we're just so excited to be able to layer these into our already existing transatlantic network to really bring more unique experiences for Nova Scotians abroad and to also bring travelers from Europe into Nova Scotia as well.
It reduces the flight time, it's more environmentally friendly, and they can do it, for a quick weekend trip, if so desired.
The Halifax Chamber of Commerce says the move will be good for local businesses, too.
I think businesses will be excited about this. Any opportunity for new visitors who stay longer and spend more will be a great opportunity for business in the region.
And for travelers at Halifax's Stanfield International Airport, the expansion is welcome news.
I like that. I love that. Yeah, it's good. Halifax is becoming a big city. It's becoming an international city, and having that direct connection would be very good for Halifax and also for the citizens, yeah.
I think it's amazing because it makes, travel easier and somewhat cheaper. The last time I had to travel to Amsterdam, I had to travel to the UK, so it's exciting news.
Well, WestJet says it will continue its existing flights to 6 other European cities, including Barcelona and Paris, and they're promising travelers additional domestic routes as well. Todd?
That's right at Halifax Stanfield International Airport. Thank you. Nova Scotia is staring down a $1.2 billion deficit by year's end. The finance minister says the province is trying to rein in spending, but critics say costs are spiraling out of control. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more reaction.
Finance Minister John Lohr says the province's projected $1.2 billion deficit is factoring into every government decision, and while they build the 2026-27 budget, the province has introduced a new staffing directive looking to eliminate jobs when new hires are brought in to fill departmental vacancies.
For every position they fill, they have to eliminate a position, so it's a 2-for-1. And it will be in place for the foreseeable future.
Lohr wouldn't say how many civil service jobs may be cut nor how many job vacancies exist, but the government does employ more than 12,000 people. These job cuts, however, will target departmental jobs, not frontline workers like teachers and correction staff.
We're looking for creative solutions. We're not looking for mass layoffs. We realize this is incremental. This will have an impact over time.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says the Houston government's spending needs to be reined in.
Houston government needs to get spending under control and actually figure out where the waste is. And I think part of that is conducting a comprehensive program review.
The taxpayer watchdog argued Nova Scotia could balance the budget by returning to 2022 spending on all non-healthcare programming.
Even if the provincial government just stopped spending so much on non-healthcare related services, they would be able to balance the budget and cut taxes.
The Houston government cut the HST by 1% this year, and while Nova Scotians struggle with the rising cost of living, the Taxpayers Federation says Premier Houston should go one step further and cut an additional 1.5%, saying it would give households on average $600 per year. The province's next fiscal update will come in December, where we'll get a clearer picture of where the deficit stands. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
There's more reporting at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca, on both the New Brunswick and Nova Scotia deficits. A St. John landmark's future is uncertain tonight. The Golden Ball building has been a fixture in the uptown for nearly a century, but it could face the wrecking ball. The city confirmed to CTV News today it has received and are reviewing an application for a permit to demolish the 94-year-old building. It was put up for sale and sold by Irving in recent months. Details around the sale have not been made public. It first opened in 1931 as the Golden Ball Garage. It served as a Ford dealership until it was converted into Irving Oil's home office in the 1950s. We did reach out to Irving Oil for more details around the sale, but did not hear back. Driving on St. John's east side just got a whole lot easier as the long-awaited realignment of Retail Drive is now complete. And drivers can now enjoy a smooth transition from Ashburn Lake Road onto Retail Drive in a lone intersection across Rossay Avenue rather than trying to navigate two intersections in a matter of just meters. Government spent more than $8 million on the project. Worth it, says Mayor Donna Reardon, who calls it one of the busiest intersections in the city.
Drivers traveled from Route 1 over here to East Point Shopping up here center. They had to zig, then zag, and there was some quick lane changes, a few difficult turns, all complicated by nearby train tracks and heavy commercial truck vehicles. This outdated configuration created safety risks, traffic inefficiencies, and limited commercial growth.
It was dodgy, to be sure. City officials note there are no current plans to develop that dirt lot adjacent to the road, which is privately owned.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
It was just 2 months ago that Cape Breton Regional Municipality Chief Robert Walsh and his force were chosen to head up a controversial new federal gun buyback program. Now the chief has announced he's retiring. CTV's Ryan McDonald has more on the timing and reaction.
Yesterday's announcement, the Cape Breton Regional Police Chief Robert Walsh is calling it a career seemed sudden to some. Others felt there might be more to it.
Myself and many other firearms owners believe that he lost the battle, I guess, with the firearms owners.
It was less than 2 months ago that Walsh and his force were chosen to pilot the new federal gun buyback program, a decision that was met with controversy and a protest in front of police headquarters.
They're just hoping that they would get no pushback in these small communities, and they really got the biggest pushback here in Cape Breton that set the stage nationally for further pushback.
A lot of chiefs in Canada have said no, they won't support the gun buyback program. I don't think that they should, but that's me. It doesn't make him wrong, and it doesn't mean that's the reasoning he's retiring.
CTV's public safety analyst and a former Ontario Provincial Police Commissioner says the fact Walsh is stepping down after a 35-year career, the last 4 as chief, is pretty standard, and that he could easily be retiring for a number of reasons.
I don't think we should look at this as anything but a chief who is well-educated, well-experienced, well thought of, making a personal decision to go on with his life.
It's a conversation that him and I have had through some of the investigation with my nephew.
CBRM Councillor Gordon MacDonald, who dealt with police on a more personal level when his nephew Justin MacDonald went missing and 3 men were eventually charged in connection with his murder, says that Chief Walsh talked to him about retirement in the past. He adds that he resents some of the comments made on social media since Walsh's decision became public.
People need to be ashamed of themselves to see and listen. I don't know if they ever read what they put out there, but they need to reevaluate what they're saying.
Walsh is set to step aside January 1st. As for whether that's a tight timeline to find a replacement,
that much notice isn't a lot, but it's not unheard of either.
no official reason has been given for Walsh's departure. We asked police for an interview with him, but were told he wasn't commenting at this time. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Time for us to step aside for a moment. On the other side, partly cloudy with temperatures a few degrees colder tonight. Kaylin has the details, but next, hey, it's playtime with your parents.
We find that nearly 3 in 5 kids, about 60%, are going to be asking for something video game related.
And the top video game requests are in from the kids, and one of them is to turn game time into family time. We'll explain next. If you have a child, chances are they're asking for something video game related for Christmas. There's another thing they're requesting, and it might actually surprise you. NBC's Brianna Borghi unwraps that.
Video games once again topping holiday wish lists, according to the Entertainment Software Association.
The majority of kids are asking for video games. We find that nearly 3 in 5 kids, about 60%, are going to be asking for something video game related.
A new report showing the #1 request is actually in-game currency, followed by a video game console. But also on the wish list is quality time, with nearly 60% of kids saying they want to play more video games with their parents.
Kids are hopeful that mom and dad will sit down next to them, pick up the controller, and turn game time into family time.
Parents buying video game gifts will spend an average of $730.
This is the new Switch 2. It just came out.
But Jamie York at Game Underground in Waltham says you don't always have to buy the latest release.
Sometimes it's okay to get like an older thing. Like you could get the first Switch and save a whole bunch of money. And if it's their first system, they're, 6 or 7, they might not mind.
For kids, he says the new Kirby game, Mario Kart, and Pokemon will be the most popular this holiday season. But when shopping, it is important to check a game's rating to make sure it's appropriate. And when it comes time to play, here's what you can do to keep your child safe.
Every device you can play games on has parental controls. Use them.
That story from our friends at NBC Channel 10 in Boston. Canada's best new restaurant is not all that far from where you live. Air Canada's influential top 10 new restaurants has chosen Mystic at Halifax's Queen's Mark as the best new place to eat in the country. Calling it a waterfront gem, Air Canada's panel of judges say Mystic is a blend of coastal warmth with refined elegance. All other 10 spots are in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. It's the second major award in recent weeks for Mystic. The upscale seafood-focused restaurant was also picked as the best new spot in North America by an international food group. Still to come, a bit sunnier tomorrow. The wind's going to be easing up, but the temperature's still pretty low. Kaylin has the details in the full forecast after this commercial break. That's the Bedford Basin. Everything about this video looks cold. I don't know what the temperature was.
Yeah.
But you can almost feel that.
Alas, these temperatures that we have around the Maritimes, well, they certainly feel cold and chilly.
Yeah.
Not that far off averages for this far into November,
right?
Todd. It is what it is for us here in November in the Maritimes. Turns out It's chilly a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's right. Fair enough.
And no sign in the extended forecast of a sudden sort of boost up in temperatures either. I'll talk more about that. Let's first, though, take a look at weather conditions across the country. Pretty quiet today as far as weather goes in a country as big as Canada. Only a few areas underneath some weather alerts. The Haida Islands in BC, they're underneath a wind warning. There's a freezing rain warning out for parts of Alberta just to the north and east of Calgary. And then there's some fog issues into the southwest of Saskatchewan. That's about it for weather alerts. There is some colder air that's starting to come down, a fresh shot of it out of the north. It's in place right now around Yellowknife. You can see they are certainly very cold right now, sitting at around -16. And then there are signs that over the next couple of weeks that fresh round of polar air is going to work its way south and then trickle off towards the east, including eventually towards us. So it does look like right now, unless there's a big change, the temperatures are probably going to remain on the chilly side over the next week, maybe even 2 weeks here in November. Sudbury right now sitting at -6, Ottawa around -2, 2 degrees right now in Fredericton, Halifax, 3 at Charlottetown, and 5 at St. John's. As we take a look at the position of the jet stream right now, one of the reasons why that colder air is going to be working its way towards the east is currently there's a bit of a dip in the jet stream off towards parts of Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. So there's a nice clear route for some of that colder air to make its way south and east along. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation as we make our way through this evening. What's left of some spotty showers and flurries in the region will be coming to an end. We talked about the clearing trend earlier. You can see that's taken place across much of New Brunswick and much of mainland Nova Scotia by the time we get to around midnight. Still some cloudier conditions around Prince Edward Island and Cape Breton. We do start off the day for tomorrow. Cold to chilly temperatures, a few clouds around in the morning. The afternoon, mostly a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day. There'll be a low chance of a spotty shower or flurry off the Gulf of St. Lawrence for mostly Inverness and Victoria counties in Cape Breton. It's about a 20% chance for any given community. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow, they will be out of the west. They'll be a little bit lighter than the past couple of days, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with gusts between 20 and 40. So it's still going to be breezy out there. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight in New Brunswick will be falling into a range around -5 to 0. Most in Prince Edward Island tonight can expect low temperatures between -1 and +1. And most in Nova Scotia can expect low temperatures between -2 and +2, with a few exceptions around parts of the coast. Canso tonight with a low temperature of around 3 degrees, and Shelburne with a low of around 4. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow across north New Brunswick between 3 and 5 degrees. And we're looking at high temperatures in central and southern parts of the province. That'll be around the low to mid single digits. For Prince Edward Island for tomorrow, you're looking at a high temperature of 4 for Summerside, Cavendish, Charlottetown, Surrey, 5 near O'Leary. And for Cape Breton, high temperatures 5 to 7 degrees. And same thing goes for the north shore and eastern shore of mainland Nova Scotia. Northern and central parts of the province tomorrow with high temperatures between 5 and 7 with a mix of sun and cloud, then breezy west wind, and a mix of sun and cloud and chilly tomorrow in the southwest of Nova Scotia, including the Annapolis Valley and the South Shore, and high temperatures between 6 and 8 degrees. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, so temperatures remain chilly through the middle part of this week. On Friday night, there's a weather system arriving. Looks like it'll be a mixture of snow and rain, with the snow most likely for northern areas of New Brunswick. It's followed up by a low chance of some lingering showers into Saturday and then some clearing into Sunday. But again, temperatures remain on the chilly side, not only for the end of the weekend, but also through the first part of next week. High temperatures around the low to mid single digits. Cool as well for Nova Scotia through the end of this week. We do get a bump up in temperatures briefly on Saturday, but it's because of a round of rain moving through, and then chilly air returns in behind it. There'll be a chance of flurries eastern parts of the province on Sunday, and a mix of sun and cloud follows for Monday and Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, sunnier conditions over the next couple of days, but the high temperatures will be pretty close to 4 degrees. Up to 7 on Friday with increasing cloudiness. Rain in the forecast for Saturday. Looks like it's going to be relatively light rain at this point in time. And then following in behind that, it's a return of a colder northwest wind off the Gulf of St. Lawrence. That'll bring a chance of flurries on Sunday. It's also a chance of mixture of showers and flurries through the start of next week. Todd.
Okay, we'll see you at the end of the show. Thank you. Next, we'll talk about today's significant outage that knocked some high-profile websites offline. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Maybe you were affected by this today. Social media giants like X, Spotify, OpenAI, not functioning for part of the day. So was the provincial government, New Brunswick, its website. All because of something called Cloudflare. It had an outage that disrupted parts of the internet. Joining us to explain all this is cybersecurity expert David Shipley. He runs Bowstron Security, and he's in Fredericton. We are happy to have you tonight. You're going to explain this to us. What happened? What happened?
So Cloudflare is like the flood management system for the internet these days. Bad actors often try and basically drown out websites, whether just for fun or to extort large companies or governments or to cover up attempts to attack them with so much garbage traffic that if you didn't have these floodgates, you wouldn't be able to access these services. And Cloudflare does this kind of service to prevent things known as denial of service attacks. They also provide infrastructure to make your services available as quickly as possible, as close to customers as possible. My company uses elements of Cloudflare's infrastructure to offer our service to thousands of clients in North America. So, you know, we saw this impact to a lesser extent in some of our platform as well. It's an absolutely essential service. If we didn't have this, the internet would be even more unstable than it is. But things are getting bad and the floodgates are getting overwhelmed. And what is coming out this afternoon is that some of the automated files, some of the smart automations or AI built into these things, it failed. And it made basically a file that was too large for the system to process, and the internet ground to a halt.
Okay.
The floodgates slammed shut.
There was another company, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was it CloudStrike or CrowdStrike? And is it something similar? There was a big outage. It wasn't even a year ago, was it? Is that something along the lines of this?
So in July 2024, what happened is CrowdStrike it was an antivirus provider to the world's largest enterprises, including Delta Airlines,
Right.
which is still in quite a nasty lawsuit over that outage. They had deployed a antivirus update that had a flaw in it that caused Windows computers to go into a reboot cycle and not come out of it. And that was massively disruptive to desktop computers. Cloudflare helps the internet servers make sure that they can actually give real customers access to websites while filtering out malicious traffic, bots, etc. But it's like an airport security team, right? So they got to screen all the traffic coming in to make sure that only the safe traffic is getting through. And it's like that whole thing just came to a grinding halt. And you saw some pretty major impacts from that. Now, what's important to note is while we as a country regulate important sectors of our economy, like the banking sector for obvious reasons, telecommunications for obvious reasons, these large, almost monopolistic internet security companies, which are so big, they don't have nearly the same amount of oversight. And whether it's this outage, recently Amazon Web Services, which is where a lot of companies and governments now host their servers, they had an issue. Microsoft Azure had an issue. Yep. We're seeing some of the creaks in the internet and the cracks form.
These are supposed to be the big gatekeepers, and if they're, like you say, showing cracks, there might be some trouble. You kind of touched on it, but I know in interviews in the past you've been very frank in saying governments are not keeping up in policy, policing, or holding companies to account. Does this fall under that?
It does. Like right now, we're still trying to pass the law. I was talking to you years ago about to have basic cyber safety standards for power utilities, for banks, for telecommunications and energy transmissions. And this comes as Ottawa continues to debate this law, as hackers recently attacked a grain silo in Western Canada, trying to cause an explosion. I had to learn that grain silos actually can be quite dangerous if they don't have the proper ventilation. So we are under attack constantly. Our legislators can't move fast enough and certainly don't seem to have the sense of urgency. But even then, the stuff that they have on their plate right now doesn't even cover these companies and holding them accountable. They can't get their heads around it. And for some reason, we thought it was super cool to create a minister of AI and jump on the giant hype train there and not have the minister for cybersecurity and critical infrastructure resiliency when we all depend on this stuff so much.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You mentioned that today's outage for Cloudflare did impact you. Do you just, does that drive you nuts when you see that? Because obviously it, you know, it disrupts your day, and you're having, I'm sure you're getting all kinds of nasty phone calls from clients.
So the good news is our clients, well, a lot of services were disrupted that were a lot bigger than what we are. For example, a lot of them use ChatGPT or AI services, or a lot of other things were affected. But our clients were very understanding. The impacts to us were fairly minimal because they were small elements within our tech stack that we rely on it for. So our overall system was able to stay up and running, which is a good amount of resiliency. But it's hard to find anybody else that can do some of the things that Cloudflare can do for companies of our scale at this point. There's not a lot of alternatives. So everyone hates it. Trust me, it's not a fun part of the day, but there's kind of a shared understanding that none of us have any ability to enforce better standards. And the other part of it is that a lot of our customers, they're very security aware, and they're aware of just how bad things are on the internet right now. And I think that's what folks watching may not realize. We have never seen the scale of malicious traffic being used by criminals, by countries that we're seeing now. The information superhighway we were sold 30 years ago, no one told us that there would be highway robbers on it, and no one told us about the potholes. And guess what? Like any 30-year-old highway, the potholes are starting to show up.
Well, David, on that positive note, we'll leave it there. Lots to talk about in our next conversation. Thank you for taking a few minutes for us. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. In our health report tonight, rates of high blood pressure in children has nearly doubled in the past 20 years. CTV's Amanda Debison takes a look at that and much more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
Across the globe, high blood pressure in children has nearly doubled over the past 2 decades.
A new study found that back in 2000, rates of hypertension in boys and girls hovered around 3%. But by 2020, those numbers had risen to around 6%. Doctors say children with hypertension are at a greater risk of developing heart disease later in life. Experts say dietary factors in children, such as consuming high levels of sodium and ultra-processed food, can contribute to their hypertension risk, along with a sedentary lifestyle. A study describing the findings was published in the journal The Lancet Child and Adolescent Health. New research is examining how professional women's hockey league players sweat to help optimize hydration and performance. About 100 athletes, including players from all 4 Canadian teams, will be tested for sweat volume and salt content during practices and games. Individual results will guide personalized hydration plans, which can improve muscle function, decision-making, and endurance. The broader findings will contribute to a database on female athlete hydration, addressing a gap in research historically focused on men. Finally, artificial organs are not yet reliable for transplants, but they're getting better for practice. A team in the UK has created a line of highly realistic artificial organs. Right now, there are models available for fields including cardiology, ENT, and neurology. The team says using models will make surgical training more ethical, cheaper, and less risky. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Katie's off this week, but in entertainment news, it's one of the most anticipated films of the year. The cast and crew of Wicked for Good attended the premiere in New York City last night, and NBC's Mark Barger was there.
New York's Lincoln Center was decked out Monday night, but so were the stars, as well as very enthusiastic fans for this much-anticipated premiere of Wicked for Good.
Look at New York City. Everyone came out. People are dressed as Elphaba and Glinda. It is so wild and so fun. It's very New York City.
The new film's not only a milestone for cast members, but for hundreds who worked behind the camera, including its cinematographer.
To make a movie that every single audience member can enjoy or identify with some aspect of, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Even for a music veteran of more than 70 films.
I've never had anything that I felt at the end of it where it's engaging people in quite such a passionate way.
And fan passion has impacted the film's choreographer.
It's put me on a path, I think, where I just want to continue to do things like this, to seek out
stories like this to tell that have a positive, impact on people.
Just look at me. I cry every time I see it, and I've seen it 5 times. So it's really heart-rending and emotional, this film, and it completely stands alone from number 1, which is amazing.
And imagine being an 8-year-old in the midst of all of this.
It's amazing. I'm so excited to be a part of this cast and be able to be here right now.
Cynthia! Wicked fun, celebrating Wicked for Good. Mark Barger, NBC Entertainment.
Wednesday on Your Morning Atlantic, Ask the Expert. Want to keep your feet warm this winter? Why not consider custom carpet? We'll ask the expert at Richie's Flooring for ideas. Start your morning with us Wednesday on Your Morning Atlantic.
Another disappointing day on the markets. The Dow closed down 500 points, and a big North American retailer reported earnings today and missed the mark. And that is triggering concerns about the upcoming holiday shopping season. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has details.
Home Depot not only missed the mark, but also cut its profit outlook for 2025. The home improvement retailer says it expected a sales boost from lower interest rates, but that didn't happen. And it has lost out on storm revenue. There have been fewer big weather events that typically push up demand for roofing materials, generators, and other supplies. If you had a problem trying to use ChatGPT or X this morning, you're not alone. Cloudflare had a bug. The company provides internet security to about 20% of all the websites in the world. Cloudflare says the issue has been resolved. And all eyes will be on NVIDIA tomorrow. The technology company will report earnings after the end of the trading day. Tech stocks have been dragged down by investor concerns. They worry about a return on AI revenue. Because NVIDIA is a major weight on the markets, its results have a significant ripple effect. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.53. West Texas Intermediate crude is up to 60.67. Western Canadian Select is down over $1 to 47.33. And the TSX is down 39 points today to 30,036. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Right, let's go to the weather deck. Kaylin's standing by. And Kaylin, loyal viewers, Alan and Colleen and St. John, they watch every night and they tell me they love it when you talk astronomy. You did that a little earlier in a first look at weather. And you've got a photo tonight that really is in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, they are not the only ones. Now, this image for tonight, or viewer picture for tonight, is not something you can see with the naked eye. You would need a telescope. But Bob Simons of Breton, New Brunswick, had some clearer skies the other night, had his telescope out, captured this picture for us of a couple of nebula. We have both the Running Man Nebula, which is the smaller one, further towards the top of the screen, and then the larger one is the Orion Nebula. So I want to thank Bob very much. Once again, next couple nights for the Maritimes, bit of a clearing trend when it comes to the cloud cover around in the evening. Temperatures turning a little bit chilly, so viewing conditions should be better. Burton in New Brunswick for tomorrow. Mostly sunny, still chilly though. Afternoon high temperature near 6 degrees. Morning temperatures around the Maritimes. We'll be starting the day with temperatures ranging from a few degrees below to just a few degrees above the freezing mark in most cases. Just a few clouds around in the afternoon. Mostly a mix of fair weather cloud, a mix of sun and cloud. Fair weather mix of sun and cloud is what I was trying to say. High temperatures tomorrow, 3 to 6 degrees. Winds will still be out of the west, but down a little bit compared to the last couple of days. Todd.
All right, thank you for that, Kaylin. And again, Alan and Colleen and St. John will be happy to have seen that. All right, finally for us tonight, a new coin in the UK celebrating the career of Freddie Mercury. Britain's Royal Mint unveiled a new coin design that marks 40 years since Queen's epic Live Aid concert performance. The coin features an image of the Queen frontman, head thrown back, holding the microphone. We all know what it looks like. The first coin was struck by Mercury's sister at the Royal Mint in Wales. That happened last week. Freddie Mercury, of course, died in 1991, the age of 45, just one day after he publicly announced that he was HIV positive. The coin went on sale at the Royal Mint website today. And that is our look at the day here at home. First, Bruce Frisco is in this chair at 11:30. He'll have the late night update. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca has updates anytime, and the web poll as well. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritimes' #1 newscast.